I'm Maynard Edwards, host of the Tyler's Place podcast, Illustrious Brother Gene Autry. Many of us think of him this time of year because of his association with Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. His version of the song is the definitive version. Rudolph, of course, started as an advertising gimmick for the Montgomery Ward Company, but here to talk to us about Illustrious Brother Gene and give us a little more than Rudolph is executive assistant to Mrs. Gene Autry, Maxine Hansen. Maxine, give us the tip of the iceberg, if you could, about Brother Gene.
Just to give you some statistics, he made over 640 recordings, sold over 100 million records. He became America's favorite singing cowboy. He made over 90 movies. And then, of course, his beloved California Angels. He owned the California Angels. He bought them in 1961. Then, of course, in November of 1988, what was then the Gene Autry Western Heritage Museum, now it's the Autry Museum of the American West, opened its doors. He's been in a little bit of everything.
What do we know about Gene Autry's Masonic career?
Well, it started in 1927. So he was, roughly 1920. He joined the Catoosa Lodge in Oklahoma, number 185. He kept those Masonic ties very strongly throughout his whole life. In 1980, he was presented with a 50-year or more participation by the Oklahoma Grand Lodge, and of course, in 1983, he was elected as a 33rd degree, which he was very proud of. A very interesting thing, on his grave marker, Mrs. Autry wanted to put the things he was most proud of, and one of them was his being a 33rd degree Mason.
I have to ask you about what brought us together, and that is Gene's relationship with our friend Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Tell us about Gene and Rudolph.
Well, in the first place, he didn't want to record it. But his first wife, Ina, said, no, I like this because it has the quality of the ugly duckling, you know, the underdog or the underduck. So I think it will really resonate with people. And then his longtime arranger, Carl Cotner, a brilliant musician, he said, Gene, let's do it. So finally Gene said, okay, fine. And he went in and did it in one take.
Wow.
Yeah, in one take.
Did Gene ever really embrace Rudolph?
He embraced Rudolph. We call him the Christmas cowboy because, of course, he co-wrote Here Comes Santa Claus.
Hang on. He co-wrote Here Comes Santa Claus? I mean, I know he recorded the most famous version of it, but I didn't realize that he'd actually helped to write the song.
Yes. What it was is we have here or had a very big parade called the Hollywood Christmas Parade. Early on, he was writing, and he could hear the kids go, you see, when this parade, it comes down with the celebrities, and at the end you get Santa. He could hear the kids going, here comes Santa Claus, here comes Santa Claus, you see. And he thought, well, this sounds pretty good. So he worked with the writer, Oakley Haldeman, who also worked with our music companies, too. And there they go. They came up with this fantastic song, which is actually Here Comes Santa Claus, right down Santa Claus Lane.
For folks who want more information about Brother Gene, where's a good spot to find it on the web?
You go to geneautry.com. That's Gene's official website. One more thing you might want to add is the Autry Museum website, The Autry, so THE Autry.org.
Maxine Hansen, Executive Assistant to Mrs. Gene Autry, thanks so much for joining us and for sharing some stories about the illustrious Brother Gene Autry, truly a fascinating Scottish Rite Mason. And thank you so much for listening to the Tyler's Place podcast. I'm Maynard Edwards. As always, email me, podcast@scottishrite.org, and I'll catch you next time right here on the Tyler's Place.